into the 9th round of the season for the Portuguese Grand Prix. Tensions continue to rise between Renault and Red Bull, and this time it's all about Renault hitting back at Red Bull. Last week we saw that Red Bull have launched an official protest regarding Renault's engine. Now of course Renault's defence of this and where this has all come a cropper is that Renault were expected to leave the sport at the end of the previous season, and what they were going to do is continue to develop their powertrain so that the team that took over was able to have their own car but didn't have to worry about their PU for the time being, as Renault would supply that for them. Now, Renault then took a U-turn and decided to remain in Formula 1, but this meant that they did not have the development on their car, as they weren't expecting to stay in Formula 1, but they were expected to stay with regards to their power unit, so they continued to develop it. And of course, it has been proven to be by far the best PU on the grid. This has really upset a lot of the teams, and some teams have been debating whether to protest, but some have backed away from it. One team that didn't was Red Bull. They protested, and now Renault have hit back at them. Prost in particular has been very vocal on this matter. Alain Prost has also not only targeted Red Bull here, but he's gone ahead and targeted the FIA. He's targeted them over no clear action over the Ford saga. Revolving back to last season now, of course, we saw that Noah James and Mason Wood went into the Ford team factory in the UK, stole some pieces of data with regards to Ford's engine in order to try and find a way to help BMW build a better PU when they were being supplied, when they were supplying Red Bull. Now, of course, we saw that this was all found out and discovered in the end, but there was no clear action with regards to the FIA looking over very carefully Red Bull's power unit, because of course Red Bull didn't actually have any good power unit data until they took Ford's. But did the FIA steal that? Did the FIA look into that? Prost doesn't think that they did, and that's what he's targeting here. So this argument is going to roll on for a lot longer, but Renault have hit back. Now let's see how they carry on with their protest as they've launched it as well. Ferrari and McLaren traded times on Friday to go fastest, with the pair of them, with McLaren setting the benchmark in FP1, and they looked to be setting the benchmark in FP2 until Lewis Hamilton came along and snatched that honour. But it didn't turn out to be such an easy Friday for Ferrari and McLaren, because Red Bull and Jaguar were hot on their heels. They were very close in both sessions, but just weren't able to take that top spot. Porsche were unable to get their tyres on the softs especially to work for them. Strangely enough, Porsche were doing a lot of running on the hard and the medium compound tyres, and they seemed to be working okay for them, but on the softs they really couldn't get them to get into the right working range. Mercedes were happy with their long run race pace, which is quite interesting because normally Mercedes have been struggling pretty much in every department, but to see them working well on the long runs gives them a little bit of impetus to go ahead and get a good run in this Grand Prix. And as per usual, Renault still struggling in the high-speed corners. Of course, their car still not properly developed yet, and they're still suffering with a lot of problems with their chassis and aero. Can they fix that though, heading into this weekend and further on into the season? But let's get straight into the race for the Portuguese Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on guys, it is Foxydude here. Welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of the F1 journey. We are here for the Portuguese Grand Prix. I believe this is the 9th round now of the season, but if you haven't enjoyed the video, drop it a like, subscribe if you're new around here as well, and let's get cracking with today's race. Of course, there's been a lot of drama going on between ourselves and Red Bull off track, and of course Red Bull are doing quite well on track these past few races. What was not so good was that last corner, because we took way too much curb in there, which technically, you know, obviously it was all 4 wheels off the track, but it's actually not the right way to go about that corner. But on our second push lap then, you can see here that we're just under a tenth of a second shy, but as we go through the last corner now, we're just losing time because we're running out of battery, because I went for a double push lap. So in the end I decided just to abandon the lap because there was no point in completing it. We were not going to improve on our time, and on our final flying lap here, we definitely are improving on our time. We're half a second up on our previous best lap. We're only P17 at the moment. That is not a good second to last corner there, as we lose a tenth of a second or so as we come towards the start-finish line now. Putting on the power now, down the start-finish straight here. Let's see where this lap time puts us as we cross the line. That was only good enough for P14. Here we go then, it is race day here for the Portuguese Grand Prix. It is round number 9 of the F1 Journey season. For the first time ever, we are racing here at Portugal, here in Portimao, the Algarve International Circuit, the roller coaster ride for Formula 1, with plenty of excitement coming your way in the next set of laps here. The 2.891 mile circuit provides us with plenty of high-speed corners, plenty of roller coaster sections including the middle sector and 2 DRS zones, enabling us to have plenty of overtaking, one down in towards turn 1 on the start-finish straight and one heading in towards turn 5. We've got the soft, the medium and the hard compound tyres which we're going to be running this weekend. Doesn't look like we're going to need the wet or the intermediate compound tyres just like we did last time out here in Portimao. And we also had a safety car last time in Imola which really transformed the race. Could we see one again this weekend to transform the Grand Prix on its head? We'll have to wait and see. Taking a look at the starting grid then here for this race, Reese is on pole position with Carlos Sainz alongside of him on the front row of the grid. A tenth of a second separates those two. Lewis Hamilton is third with Sam qualifying in P4, those two just 2/10 off of Reese. Stoffel Vandoorne is 5th ahead of Nick de Vries with a brilliant qualifying session for Mercedes, with Daniel Ricciardo in 7th and Lando Norris lining up in P8 for Jaguar. Another difficult qualifying for Charles Leclerc, he lines up 9th with Verstappen alongside of him 10th on the grid. Sergio Perez is 11th, a long way off his teammate Nick de Vries with Gasly lining up in P12. George Russell is 13th with ourselves qualifying in 14th place, 8/10 of a second off of pole position. Callum Ilott outqualifies Mick Schumacher for an all-Ford row, 15th and 16th. Oscar Piastri is 17th with Valtteri Bottas alongside of him, 18th on the grid, and the back row is cemented with Nico Hulkenberg and Robert Schwartzman covering that row. Alright, so we're on the grid now here for the start of the Portuguese Grand Prix. The first time that we're actually racing in Portugal, and we can have ourselves a little bit of fun then as we've got the 5 red lights here, and then it's lights out, and away we go. That was a quick light sequence actually, a lot faster than I expected it to be, but it's a decent start for us now as we go in towards the first corner. Now we've got one of the Fords there trying to get alongside us, so we're going to block him off quite nicely now and maintain position here as we have a look at our teammate Gasly go down the inside of a whole bunch of cars here, making a bit of contact there with one of the Mercedeses, but no damage is going to be done to that, so we're absolutely fine in that area, which is good because I really could be doing without the damage. We're going to go for another attack here down the inside now of that Mercedes car, and we're up into 8th place now. It's a brilliant start for us actually, from P14 all the way up into 8th now as we go through, and I think it was actually an Audi that we overtook, not a Mercedes, so I got that a little bit wrong, didn't I? But we're fine, we're carrying on and we're pressing through in this Grand Prix now as we go through this middle sector. This is the area of the circuit where we're losing the most amount of time to the AIs because of course we just don't have as good a chassis and aero department as the rest of the field. We're just really compensating with an extremely good power unit as we now go through towards the final sector. This is where we then claw some of the time back. We're sort of even maybe a tiny bit faster if I can nail the corners right, and then the start finish straight. We're in absolute dreamland here now as we have a little check of the car here, just making sure that when we went through the inside of a couple of those drivers that we didn't make any collisions there. As Sainz then is leading this Grand Prix. We set a purple final sector, pretty much solidifying what I was talking about earlier in terms of our straight line speed here. But let's have a look at the start of the race then and see what actually occurred, because Reese, of course, remember, was on pole position, but that didn't last for too much longer. In fact, it lasted a couple of 100 meters really. For us though, you can see here we did not get a brilliant start, but into turn 1 we took it cautiously, avoided the attack from the Ford car, opened ourselves up to the inside line, sent it down the inside of a bunch of drivers here, made a little bit of contact there with Nick de Vries in the end, and then we go up the hill and then we'll eventually be overtaking de Vries and also Leclerc and all of that. This is on board with Carlos Sainz, and credit where it's due, that's a sensational start from Sainz. He absolutely does race in towards turn 1. He leads the Portuguese Grand Prix, and then it's on board here with Sam, who does a very similar thing here starting from P4. Apart from, he got past Lewis Hamilton into turn 1 there. So the drivers on the inside line getting a better start than those on the outside. So that's a little bit of an interesting one there. Lap 3 of the Grand Prix though, and we're catching up here to the back of Lando Norris now in the Jaguar, looking to try and find a way through here. Got some good pace in the early stages on these soft compound tyres as we now open up the DRS here on the straight. Now the second DRS zone on the circuit here. Can we go for a move down the inside of Lando Norris? Not quite, but we're actually going to go right around the outside here of Lando Norris. Norris crucially gives us space there, which he really shouldn't be doing, and that is going to give us 7th place then in this Grand Prix, and Norris has been dispatched. A really difficult target there to get past now at Schwartzman and Bottas further back down down in towards basically the back markers here. Going for a little bit of a scrap now in towards the first 2 corners, but it's Robert Schwartzman that comes out on top there, staying in front of Bottas for the time being. Piastri and Hulkenberg looking in there now. Going to go to the end of the lap now, so I can't even begin to speak. My brain has stopped working. Bottas goes around the outside into the first corner, makes the outside into the second corner. Schwartzman, though, will come back at him down the inside here. All these guys on the medium compound tyres, and Schwartzman once again then holding off Valtteri Bottas. Piastri now is going to try and have a run here at Valtteri Bottas into the hairpin. This is going to be quite difficult for Bottas here because Schwartzman's going to box him in on the inside line. It's not going to be easy for Valtteri Bottas, but I think it's actually going to be Piastri, and it is. So Piastri then gets the move done. So some great defensive teamwork there from the Aston Martin drivers, but back at the front of the field now. Carlos Sainz is in the race leader of this Grand Prix, but Reece now wants to take the lead here. Goes down the inside on Sainz, it all into 1. It's super close and tight between the pair of them, into 2 now. Now down into turn 3. Reece has got the inside line. Sainz has the outside line, which in these type of Formula 1 cars that we've got, which are much, much quicker than anything you see in real life Formula 1, this is better to have the outside line. Sainz though has got DRS here, but look at the power that Reece has got down the straight there to manage to match the Ferrari, if not pull away a little bit, but they're still side by side now as Sam and Hamilton just watching from the back here, but Sainz is really going for this versus Reece now. Into the middle sector they go. Reece now has the inside line. Sainz still holds on here around the outside. They're still going to go for this one now. Down the hill through the roller coaster section of the middle sector here now. Reece is just trying to hold on in there versus Sainz. Sainz is trying to hold on against Reece in all of this, but it's going to be Reece that comes out on top and takes the lead in the Portuguese Grand Prix, and now Sam is right behind him as we move on to lap 11 of this Grand Prix. A couple of the front runners then have come into the pits early in this Grand Prix here. You can see that we're only on lap 11 and we're currently 3rd now in this race. Sam is now leading the Grand Prix just ahead of us there, and this is then Stoffel Van Dorn who we're catching in this Grand Prix. We've got some lightning quick pace here on these soft compound tyres, but can we go for a move here on Stoffel Van Dorn? We're going to try what we did to Lando Norris on lap 3. And that's worked to absolute perfection because we're side by side now with Stoffel Van Dorn going around the outside here. Are we going to go side by side for as long as Carlos Sainz and Reece did? No, because we're more aggressive and force Van Dorn wide. And we're going to take 2nd place in this Grand Prix. Up the road now is Sam. There he is leading this race onto lap 12 of this Grand Prix. We're currently in 2nd place and we're doing a very, very good job. But that's this stint over. We're now going to come into the pits here and get onto a set of the hard compound tyres. That's going to take us to the end of this race. It's a one-stop strategy and it's the best way to go here around Portugal. Sam now boxing for his set of hard compound tyres. We're coming in for ours. Hopefully we don't get held up here. Sam didn't get held up either. Lots of smoke coming from the back of our pit garage there, but it's absolutely fine. It was a smoke screen that we deployed to make sure that the team were able to use the night vision goggles to absolute effect because we brought them here by accident. Sam now then rejoins this race. He's in front of Reece actually, so that's a big, big strategical change there in this Grand Prix. Sam has leapfrogged Reece and also the 2 Ferraris, who is in front of Lewis Hamilton anyway. So Sam's strategy is absolutely spot on. For us though, we're in the midst of all this traffic that Sam is actually in front of now. So that's massive for this race here, as we're going to go dancing around the outside here of Daniel Ricciardo towards what's becoming my favourite overtaking spot. But crucially, a lot of these front runners you just saw as we overtook Ricciardo, he's on the soft compound tyres, so there's a mixture of strategies then going on. Some are doing the 2-stop, some are doing the 1-stop in this race then, and one of those doing the 1-stop is me, as we now go through in towards the first corner now here. There's a battle between, I think this is Hamilton, and also one of the Porsche cars here. I'm not quite sure which one this is. It looks to be Valtteri Bottas that we're going to have to try and find a way through. Hamilton gets through. We're then going to make that switch back on Valtteri here, opening up the DRS now on the Porsche driver, but he's not going to back down on this one, but it will break nice and late here. I had to go for something that was really quite not clever. That was not clever for me at all, actually. I was outbraking the Porsche driver. I wasn't going to go into Lewis Hamilton, but then I panicked and then tried to, yeah, basically I just got everything all messed up there, but eventually, you know, no harm done. What the only harm has really done is that we're not on the back of Hamilton anymore, but unfortunately for me, they are on soft tyres. I'm on the hards, so at the moment, I have to just accept the fact that these drivers around me are not going to be in my race in this stage of the Grand Prix, and I can't do so much to defend against them, as there go the 2 Ferraris with the rest of the medium compound tyre runners pitting. This is Daniel Ricciardo now. We're letting him through here. He's on the softs. He's got to stop again. So realistically now, by now to the end of this his stint, which depending on when he pitted, which would have been about lap 8, lap 9 to do a 2-stopper, he's got to build a pit stops advantage against me and then try and overtake me again. So we're in actually quite a clean position here. Lap 19 of the Grand Prix. There we are, running in currently second place in this Grand Prix. Lando Norris, though, has got past Stoffel Van Dorn. So Norris now is going to be the next challenger to myself. That's if you can get onto the back of me here. This is lap 21 now. You can see here, all of these drivers now have made their second stops in this Grand Prix. They're on the medium compound tyres. These now, the McLarens and the Ferraris, are the only top teams, I think, that have gone on to a two-stopper. So they're now going to be leading the charge. Can they make these mediums work and go to the end? But they're probably not going to do so well at catching if they're going to do what Ricciardo and Sainz are doing, is they try and battle each other. Meanwhile, for us, we're trying to battle our car here and keep it in a straight line, because at the moment, that's not happening. As we go on to lap 22 now of this Grand Prix, we've got Lando Norris, we've got Stoffel Van Dorn, we've got one of the Mercedes drivers catching us now, as here comes Lando Norris now into turn one, very close there, great defending as we go into the first corner, holding off Lando Norris, and we're staying in second place now. But crucially, all these four drivers behind us, that's Norris, Van Dorn, I think it's Sergio Perez, and then also Max Verstappen, they are all on the hard tyres going to the end. So we've got to fight them now, because we're fighting for second place here. Sam, who's currently in the lead on the hard tyres, is miles clear. And unfortunately, we're not going to be catching him. Although, as you can see here now, Van Dorn has actually overtaken Lando Norris. And we're dropping them a little bit now here on lap 24. But now here comes Stoffel Van Dorn here. He's going to have a little bit of a look here in towards first corner. Going to go to the inside line now, but not enough for Van Dorn to really make a move here. And we're going to hold the position now as we go in towards turn 3. But we're going a little bit too deep in towards turn 3. Van Dorn says thank you very much. We're now going to go side by side here down the straight, but we were just behind Van Dorn in the DRS detection zone, and we're going to take the DRS then and take a lucky escape in the battle for second place here, because one thing that I really don't want to happen is for Red Bull to get a 1-2 in this race. Of course, like I said at the start of this video, there's a lot of tension between Red Bull and Renault off the track. It's pretty much boiling over. This is Ricciardo overtaking Mick Schumacher, and now all of a sudden it's going to go down on track as well, as we've got Red Bull versus Renault. And one thing that I want to do representing Renault is to beat them on track here, as we're now lap 25 going super defensive now versus Stoffel Van Dorn, forcing him to go into the slipstream here onto the inside line, because the inside line is such a bad place to overtake here into turn 1. We're going to do this, swoop through it towards turn 1, and that's the clear advantage that we get. It's not going to cost Van Dorn too much time, but if he goes to the inside every single time, all I need to do, and I've started to figure this out here, lap 26 now, I need to cut his angle super thin here in this race now as we go onto the straight. So we're going to do the same tactic once again then. Van Dorn now gets into our slipstream here. We're going to go tight to the inside line, literally as far to the inside as we could possibly go. Now we'll make the move to the outside line here, go as far as we can, fling it on through, and that's what we needed to do, because I think Van Dorn had to back out of it. Yes, he did. Look, Van Dorn then backs out of it, and he's now dropped himself right into the mix between the Mercedes drivers, and that's Sergio Perez there. Perez now gets in front of Norris then, so that's a great move from Sergio Perez to re-overtake the Jaguar driver, or unless he got past it. No, he didn't re-overtake him, he only overtook him the first time there. So great move there from Perez, but lap 27 we're doing the same thing again here. I have no ERS at this point now. Now we're going to go to the inside line here. As you can see, there's his tight angle, and through we go. Absolutely fine. Van Dorn loses time again in this lap, and it means that he can't close up to me until the start of the next lap. And that means that because I've built myself a little bit of a gap, you can see here that I've got enough ERS. I recover enough throughout the lap to just make sure that I can hold on. And here we go again then. Van Dorn has to go to the inside line as tight as he possibly can, holding on into my slipstream. Looks like Sergio Perez there doesn't want to go for it now, but Van Dorn's in a much better position than he was last time around. He has the outside this time, but we do fend him off here, and Perez takes advantage of that and goes into third place in this race, as Verstappen now is trying to pass his teammate Lando Norris. We haven't seen this much from Max Verstappen, and there's one of the McLarens and the Ferraris in the background there, the two stoppers now catching up to us in this Grand Prix, so they're now starting to put themselves into the mix here. This is all for second and third in this Grand Prix, this gaggle of cars here, but can Verstappen get an advantage on Lando Norris and pass him? Yes, he can. Verstappen gets in front of Lando Norris. That's fifth place for Max, fully secured now. Lap 31 of this Grand Prix here. This is George Russell now attacking Lando Norris in towards the first corner here. Russell has a good run here, and crucially there's my teammate Gasly right behind this, and Gasly's doing a great job here, because Reese, in what looks like 9th place here, can't find a way through past Gasly, and neither can Hamilton. So this strategy of the two-stop with only 2 laps to go is not working for these McLaren and Ferrari drivers. But here's Russell now, trying to go around the outside here of Lando Norris into the hairpin now. This is going to go on for the middle sector, just like we've seen with many other drivers now as they go through in towards the next section of corners. This next corner here is going to be really tricky on the rear end, and we've seen a lot of drivers spin through here, one of them being me. But as you can see now, we're going to go through here, and Norris has the inside line. He's got a bit more straight line speed by the looks of it as well. Russell probably running a little bit more downforce here, but as Russell now goes through towards the end of the middle sector, he barges his way past Lando Norris and makes that move stick here as we go on to lap 32 here to start lap 33. This is the last lap now coming up on this Grand Prix here. We are in second place, now going defensive here. As you can see, there is Stoffel Van Dorn now, and all of a sudden now, here comes Perez here. He's going to try it in towards here, but that's not going to work here because Van Dorn swooped around the outside of Sergio Perez. Perez wasn't close enough to go for it on us. We didn't realise that to start with, but unfortunately for Sergio Perez, he's just lost himself a podium on the last lap of the Grand Prix here. But what's worse, and that's from my perspective, you can see here by the way that we're lifting and coasting now, is that we're running out of fuel in this Grand Prix. The fuel rate was actually a lot higher than I thought, and we actually need to try and save some fuel now. So as you can see here, we're literally going to have to park the bus now through this section of corners here and hope that we can stay in front now. You can see here is Stoffel Van Dorn trying to go for it now. We're trying to weave a little bit on the circuit to maintain position now as we go through in towards the final section of corners. Sam then wins the Grand Prix, of course. I need to mention it every single time because there's always new viewers. There's no names mod that works for F1 2021, and I have no idea how to make one, so it's not Verstappen that wins, it's actually Sam. But as we go through the last corner now here, all in all, the one-stop strategy was the way to go. We managed to do what we had to do, and that was to defend the position here. And we're going to come across the line for a sensational second place here at the Portuguese Grand Prix. And all in all, that was pretty much as well as that race could have gone for me, because you would have seen it. You know, by lap 11 of the Grand Prix, we'd only just got past Stoffel Van Dorn, and that would have been for a net P6. We just did not have the pace versus pretty much everyone around us, but we were able to hold on, and when we had that track position, we were able to master the art of defending, and it worked perfectly for us. But Sam then wins for the first time actually for Red Bull, and for the first time this season, Sam takes victory here at Portugal with a 26-second lead. Of course, all of our battling and Sam's pace anyway led to him building such a massive advantage in the second stint. We come across the line obviously to finish in second place, with Van Dorn finishing in third. Sergio Perez missing out on that podium after trying to have a go at us, and it didn't work out there, and he finishes in fourth. Verstappen is fifth in the race. I think that's his best result of the season. It's not been a good year so far for Max, but maybe he can reignite that after this race. George Russell finishes in sixth, with Lando Norris coming across the line in seventh place. Gasly holds off then Reese and Hamilton to finish in eighth, with Reese ninth and Hamilton in 10th. De Vries set the fastest lap of the race with a 1:11.682. Looking at the second half of the table now, Daniel Ricciardo is 11th, with Charles Leclerc in the Audi finishing in 12th, so their two-stop strategy didn't work well for them. Mick Schumacher 13th for Ford, with Oscar Piastri 14th for Aston Martin. Valtteri Bottas is 15th for Porsche, with Robert Schwartzman in 16th for Aston Martin. Carlos Sainz finishes in 17th for Ferrari, with Hulkenberg in 18th for Porsche. De Vries had an absolute shocker of a Grand Prix, finishing in 19th place for Mercedes, and Callum Ilott was last of the bunch. Moving swiftly on then into the Drivers' Championship now, we actually extend our lead at the top of the championship after a disastrous race from Charles Leclerc, not scoring any points here today, and with us picking up a second place means that the championship is now swinging very much in our favour. Despite our car not being the fastest, we're just being able to pick up the results where our rivals are not. Reese moves to third in the championship, now 1 point clear of Lewis Hamilton, but Sam now jumps himself up to fifth in the championship, and he's only now 7 points behind Reese. Could Sam be a man that is about to launch an epic championship challenge? We don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see. Lando Norris 6th in the championship on 74 points, with Gasly on 53 points. Daniel Ricciardo is on 45 points, with George Russell on 43 and Sainz 41. The next event is the Dutch Grand Prix, and the Constructors' Championship looks as follows. Renault now are on 206 points, with Audi falling back now on 168 points, with McLaren on 134 points, Ferrari have 129 points, and Red Bull now have 117 points. Of course, they picked up a first and a third, meaning they got 40 points, with the likes of McLaren only having 2 points, Ferrari only having 1 point, having a 39 point gap gain on a championship team in this series is massive and hardly happens. So for Red Bull, they are in prime control of things as of now, and they've jumped in front of Jaguar, who dropped to 6th in the championship on 113 points. Mercedes re-overtake Ford in their battle for 7th in the championship, as Mercedes now have 25 points with Ford on 21 points, and Aston Martin still have the edge over Porsche with 2 points compared to points for Porsche. Now, with that being said and done, let's get straight into the post-race notebook, see how the teams and drivers thought after the Portuguese Grand Prix. Taking a look at the post-race notebook then, after today's race, Sam crashed the field to take the first win of Season 9 for himself and the first win in Red Bull colours. Tom brilliantly held off Stoffel Vandoorne, Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen to claim P2 at the Portuguese Grand Prix. Vandoorne, of course, claiming 3rd and Perez finishing in 4th. McLaren and Ferrari were furious after a strategic blunder from the two teams cost them an opportunity at potentially and what looked to be the race victory. Both McLaren and Ferrari went for the two-stop strategy in the Grand Prix, and it was clear that strategical option did not work out, as they were left with only Reese and Lewis Hamilton claiming 9th and 10th, and the rest not able to score a single point. Charles Leclerc was another driver that went on this strategy as well, and it was clear that it didn't work out. Max Verstappen was pleased to have actually put a good race together. Verstappen has had a really difficult season for Jaguar and being outperformed by Lando Norris in all of the races. But this time around, that was not to be, as Verstappen managed to get the better of Lando Norris and claim a great P5. Mercedes were left angry after just missing out on a podium spot with Sergio Perez after Stoffel Vandoorne overtook him on the last lap of the Grand Prix. Perez went for a move on Tom, or went to have a look at him, as Tom defended the inside line, but immediately switched back to the racing line, with Perez not getting the time to do that, leaving Vandoorne to swoop around the outside and claim P3. But that is it for the F1 journey this time around here at the Portuguese Grand Prix. Next time, we'll see you guys for the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort. But for now, I'm out. Take care all.